Welcome back, Astro listeners, to StarLady Soul Reader Network. This is MediaMonk, and as always, I'm happy to announce that we have our shining star of the zodiac, StarLady. Here she is. How you doing, StarLady?
Hello, MediaMonk.
And we all recall that StarLady is indeed our managing director for the Evolutionary Astrology Network. EAN still provides that EA course for certifying new evolutionary astrologers worldwide. And yet we have a lot of other stuff on the website that you might want to take a look at, including our forecasting webinars, our Astro Library, the EA course. Go take a peek at www.evolutionaryastrology.net. And on the subject of forecasting webinars, we're going to have a free Pay It Forward Zoom call on Wednesday, July 23rd. All our new forecasting webinars start at 5 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And with no exception with Uranus and Gemini, we're going to do a 90-minute, 2-hour presentation on a very important ingress of Uranus into Gemini. So get that on your calendar and find the Zoom link in an upcoming newsletter landing in your inbox. So you have to be on that Astro newsletter list, which is simply your email and name on the bottom of any page on our website. And we'll look forward to seeing you then next Wednesday. But for now, let's talk about some full moon stuff, and I'll turn it over to you, StarLady.
All right. Thank you, MediaMonk. And I didn't forget, listeners, Jupiter and Cancer. MediaMonk and I just have crazy travel schedules in the summertime with our house rentals, and we love camping. And so I'll still give a few comments on Jupiter and Cancer later this summer when my schedule calms down a little bit. But hey, how are we doing with all of this fire and air energy that we are experiencing right now? Keeping up with the details, are you? It's a little bit of a madhouse for us being able to do that. First of all, though, I'm going to share some personal news, and I don't remember what I said 4 months ago. I don't remember if I spoke about this publicly or not, but back in February, I woke up one morning and my 6-year-old cat, my black cat Phoenix, was beside me, gone. Just out of the blue. Whew. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little emotional about it yet. And it was a complete surprise. And so I spent some time processing and grieving. And through a bunch of different circumstances, life came along and said, okay, StarLady, you're not done with kitties. And so I had told MediaMonk that if we get another cat, I want a little kitten, and I want it to come along in the summer so that we can teach it to travel with us and live in our camper with us as we travel. Well, if you look at the newsletter, you're going to see a little photo. We now have a 2-month little female. She's another tuxedo. I love tuxedos. Her girlfriend was part of getting her to me. Her name is Jasmine-Oreo, or Jazzy-O for short. Everybody kept calling her Oreo, and I'm like, this little kitty is too distinct to be an Oreo. She's beyond that. So Jasmine-Oreo, Jazzy-O for short. And we're recording this on Friday the 11th, the day after the full moon. And we got her on Monday, so she's just been with us for 4 days. And oh my gosh, we have a baby in the house. And she just is bringing us a lot of joy. I haven't had a kitten in 25 years. And in Leroy's 24 years with me, going through 6 cats, I had 4 when we got together. They've all been, pretty much either half grown or almost grown or fully grown. So this is our first kitten together. And oh gosh, she's definitely a little Aries. She's a little Spitfire. And she's just been very joyful for us. So I'm going through this whole, death and rebirth, still grieving and still talking to my phoenix, and yet appreciating the joy that this little one is bringing to our household. So just wanted to share that news with the Sun in Cancer and that full moon of Capricorn and emotional maturation and responsibility. And so what happens on that full moon of Capricorn? StarLady and MediaMonk became parents again. So stay tuned. We'll share some of her little antiques with you and as time goes by. So yeah, let's add one more thing to the busyness of our summer, but we are pretty excited to take her camping, and she's just as cats usually are, not all of them, but this one is definitely the curious cat. So stay tuned. We'll let you know how that goes. And so, moving on to the stars, we had said in the last podcast that there are 4 planets going stationary retrograde in the calendar month of July. And right now, through the middle part of this decade, 24 and 25, Neptune and Saturn go stationary retrograde within, days to a week, 2 weeks, 10 days from each other. And then in 26, 27, Neptune and Saturn go stationary direct together at the end of their retrograde cycles. And sandwiched in between that is their one conjunction, February 20, 26, at 0:45 Aries. And so here they are, early degrees Aries, Neptune stationary retrograde July 4th, 2 degrees Aries. Saturn is going to go stationary retrograde tomorrow of this recording, July 12th, 2 degrees Aries. Neptune 5-month retrograde cycle, Saturn 4-month. And that's how that timing kind of goes over the middle of this decade between them, turning retrograde together and then turning direct together. Saturn stationary retrograde in Aries. We have all the new beginnings of Saturn's 28, 29-year cycle through the zodiac taking place. Now with the retrograde, here come the butt edits. Here come the, I don't know if I really like this new beginning. I don't know if I like all these tariffs that may be coming on, raising the prices of all of our household goods that we all utilize here in our Western world. I don't know if I like the new beginnings of rules of law and how our society functions and works. Saturn's going to retrograde back into Pisces. It's not going to go direct until November 27 at 25 Pisces. Neptune will go direct December 10 at 29 and a half Pisces. And so when they reverse back into Pisces, we will be tasked with finding what are our deepest beliefs. Neptune retrogrades back into its own sign, Pisces, October 22nd. And Saturn will retrograde back into Pisces. Hold on just a second. I missed that one. I'm flipping through my sheets. Saturn back into Pisces September 1st. Neptune back into Pisces October 22nd. They're both going to go back and dip into Pisces later this summer, early fall. We'll have to watch that sense of victimization. Again, we're going to look for what are our deepest beliefs on soul levels and how do we use that understanding of natural law for evolutionary astrologer listeners. How do we use that understanding of natural law to then move forward in new ways and harness that Saturn, Neptune in Aries energy? Stay tuned. Right now, with both of them turning stationary retrograde, what it could create is a lot of frustration and a lot of anger. And so how do you channel that anger into some type of productivity? Now, interestingly, Saturn turns retrograde July 12th, 25 Pisces. Mercury turns retrograde 5 days later, July 17th, 15.5 Leo. Mercury retrograde, July 17th, 15.5 Leo. Mercury direct, August 11th, 4 degrees Leo. Mercury is in Leo for 2 months, June 26th through September 2nd, all the way through July and August. Mercury in Leo. That mantra I created a long time ago for Sun in Leo. I align my will with divine will. I align my will with divine will. Leo is fixed fire. It is that spark of creativity. I know what I want, and I am going to do everything within my power to manifest it. Fixed fire. That will. Well, what we run up against via the Aquarius polarity of Leo is that there are others to consider. Leo is subjective orientation. Aquarius is objective orientation. So when Mercury goes retrograde in Leo, me, it has to consider you, them versus us. It has to look at that whole larger picture and how we and our creativity and our will fits into it. I'm going into Mercury retrograde just a little bit more because, surprisingly, this Mercury retrograde, we only have it aspecting Venus and Mars, which it always does, rarely doesn't. It's always aspecting Venus and Mars during a retrograde cycle. There's only one planet Mercury is aspecting in this retrograde cycle, and that's waxing semi-sextiles to Jupiter in Cancer, 30 degrees beyond Cancer, Jupiter. So I had to go back and look, the more recent retrogrades, and they're always full. Give you an example. The next Mercury retrograde that's going to come up this fall in Sagittarius, Scorpio, Mercury aspects 8 planets. So Mercury retrograde is almost always busy aspecting planets. This time, it's not. However, we may not notice the difference. With all of these outer planets moving into fire and air signs, Mercury retrograde in Leo, feistiness, we may not notice that it isn't aspecting very many planets with this retrograde cycle. If anything, the waxing semi-sextiles to Jupiter, you want to pay attention to those sparks of insight that come to you. And with Jupiter in Cancer, they're going to come on emotional levels. You're going to get those gut instincts on. This is how I need to process my life, Mercury. This is how I need to move forward and organize my world, Mercury to Jupiter. This is how I need to go forth with learning new ways of communicating. Mercury and Leo, let me just tell you what I think. Let me tell you what I want to do. Let me tell you what I think you should do. How well can Mercury retrograde kind of back off from that? And with Venus and Mars, Venus is behind the sun as a morning star. Mars is ahead of the sun as an evening star. Venus is going to make a last quarter square to Mars, July 23rd, 21, Venus Gemini, Mars Virgo. No, that's the date of my Uranus in Gemini webinar, everyone. So while Venus is 90 degrees from Mars, Mercury in its retrograde cycle is halfway between. Mercury's going to make a semi-square, waxing semi-square to Venus. Mercury's going to make a waning semi-square to Mars. They're going to have their sextiles. They're going to have their semi-squares as well, all right? A point is that this Mercury retrograde in Leo may bring about situations and opportunities to communicate differently, change things in regards to intimate relationships, however they exist for you. Because it's Venus, last quarter square, Mars, crises in action about how I want to participate in intimate relationships. And by the way, let's broaden that up. You may not be in a one-on-one relationship with a significant other, but almost all of us, even when we're quote-unquote single, are in intimate relationships with other people, family members, even possibly friends, co-workers. You know, they come in, intimate relationships can come in a variety of ways. And so Venus and Mars in Gemini and Virgo, the two signs ruled by Mercury, there may be a fair amount of communications going on. How do we process it? How do we talk it out? Again. And Mercury retrograde, it's not all about me. How can you listen? How can you understand what the other person is saying, what they're communicating with you? The interior conjunction of Mercury retrograde passing over the sun is July 31st, 9 Leo. We can talk about that on the New Moon podcast, but just wanted to put that date out there for you. All right? So, in addition to having this Mercury retrograde sandwiched in between Venus and Mars, we also have Mars approaching a conjunction with the South Node in Virgo. That's going to take place July 20th at almost, let's just say 19-20 degrees Virgo. Mars is in Virgo for almost 2 months. Mars in Virgo, June 17th through August 6th. Here we are, Mars leading the summer planetary march. 1 year it's with the inner planets, the next year it's opposing the inner planets with its retrograde cycle, 2-year cycles of Mars. So Mars in Virgo for a couple of months here, it's almost like, well, we want to have all of our Leonian summer fun and play and, go out and enjoy whatever makes us, joyful. Mars in Virgo is saying, oh, but wait a minute. We still have to keep up with the details of our life. We still have to keep up with our routines if we still are working. We still got to pay attention to the diet, exercise, and rest in between all of the picnics and family gatherings and reunions, etc. And so as Mars conjuncts that South Node in Virgo, here we are, full moon on July 10th. Mars has a conjunction July 20th. We're feeling Mars conjunct that South Node the entire month of July. So how are you looking at your day-to-day routine? How are you implementing diet, exercise, and rest, Virgo? How are you working through day by day, one foot in front of another? Okay, so in the northern plains, maybe we like to go through the closets in the middle of winter when we can't be outside. Well, Mars and Virgo conjunct the South Node, we might be cleaning things in the middle of the summer this year. We can be looking at where we have our cup half empty, Virgo, and we need to change the situation to a different perspective and create the cup half full. Where we need to look at inner, outer criticism. And how can we switch it to the healthy perspective of Virgo, which is being gentle and loving with self, which is unconditionally loving ourselves, warts, farts, and all, as I like to say. So, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed during this Mercury retrograde, July 17th through August 11th, again, it's a typical Mercury retrograde. Leo, I want to play. Mars in Virgo, Venus in Gemini, Mercury signs again. What do we have to take care of? What are we responsible for? Oh, and by the way, this full moon of Capricorn that we just had, it has brought along the messages and ideas of what is our responsibility and what is there for us to take care of in our world. Saturn retrograde may want to throw off old responsibilities or just old routines and patterns. Saturn, it has its interest in security. Saturn Capricorn 10th is an archetype that is the earth element, and I have created this physical world. I have created this physical routine. I have these physical accumulations, and I like it that way. Well, Saturn retrograde can be throwing our physical world upside down. And so where are old routines? Where maybe there's something we've been overly responsible for, then it's not ours to do anymore. How do we release that? How do we open ourselves up to new routines, new ways of going about our life and our world, and how we are choosing to function within it? MediaMonk, I'm pausing for a moment to see if there's anything else that I want to think of. I will say, 4 planets. Go ahead, MediaMonk. I can remember what I'm going to say.
No, go ahead. No, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just don't have. I'm kind of just moving through the processing of all these important transits with you. So
you're in listening mode, huh?
I'm in listening mode. I'm processing through my own personal experience right now, Mercury and Leo. Yeah.
Well, I was
Jazzy
going
tries
to
to
say,
crawl upon. And I'm having to deal with the Jazzy-O out here.
And oh gosh, this little kitten. If you've ever had kittens before, and you know, I had my first kitties when I had to think back because I had to fill out an application form for the rescue society because this is a rescue cat was thrown out of a window or out of a car window. And they found him, and they're prosecuting them, the ones who were so cruel. Have you ever had a kitten? You know, it's go, 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 and then crash. Go, 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 and then crash. So we got this fire and air energy going on, and then Jupiter and Cancer, crash, and she'll fall asleep in our arms, and she'll fall asleep in the oddest positions, and you're like, how could she just do that so easy? Anyway, with 4 planets turning stationary retrograde in the month of July, Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, and Chiron the end of the month, it is review, 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 throw off, throw off, throw off, what has ran its course, what's no longer working for you, how are you throwing off your consensus conditionings, and Mercury retrograde, Leo, polarity Aquarius, liberating yourself into being a new you in different and unique ways that help you move forward in your world. All right, everyone. I, again, will do a live Pay It Forward Zoom webinar Wednesday, July 23rd, Uranus in Gemini update. If you are subscribing to our email newsletter, you will find the link there to listen live. And, of course, we'll have the recording on our YouTube channel afterwards.
That's exactly right. That's right on the next new moon. So make sure you join us for that Uranus and Gemini information. And go ahead and feel free to pass that link on to family, friends, and colleagues. Again, it's a free Pay It Forward event. So let's build a big audience, and we'll see you then. And until that time, move with joy and a lot more passion on this never-ending journey to the core of our souls. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.